Welcome to Table for One. I'm the narrator, and in today's video, I'll be doing a rules refresher for Trickerion. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to play the Dawn of Technology expansion. Let's get rolling. Alright, so I am ready to teach you how to play the Dawn of Technology expansion to Trickerion. So just as in my other rules videos, I do have chapter markers if you're looking for something specific so you can get your answer to your question right away. And if you find this video helpful, please do consider leaving a like or subscribing to the channel. And if you'd like to see a solo playthrough of Trickerion using the Dawn of Technology expansion, I will be releasing that later this week. And if you're watching this in the future, I'll put a link to that video directly at the end of this video. So let's get started right away, and we'll start by talking about the components that come with this expansion. So this expansion comes with 4 contraption boards. I've got one here, the other 3 here. You'll see on the back, each one is associated with a certain school of magic. So you can imagine where these are going to go, but you'll get 4 of those and 12 signature trick cards. And you'll see in the top right corner, they all have this little light bulb icon. This is the icon for this Dawn of Technology expansion. So anything with that little light bulb icon means that it's for this expansion. And you'll notice on the back, there is one for each of the 12 magicians that's in the game. The 12 does include the 4 that come with the Academy expansion. You'll also get 5 special assignment cards, 1 for each location type, which again includes the Academy. There are 16 cardboard punch-out contraptions. There are 4 types, 1 for each school of magic, and each school gets 4 of them. These are pretty thick, like black core cardboard, so those are nice. So this school here, you can see I've got 4 of them. They're double-sided, with one side being smaller than the other side, so we'll get to that in a little bit. And you'll also get another 25 Trickerion shards. These are not different in any way from the Trickerion shards in the base game. You'll just need more of them. So next we'll talk about compatibility. The Dawn of Technology expansion is pretty flexible in terms of its compatibility, but when you play, you must play with the Dark Alley expansion of the base game of Trickerion. You can't play without the Dark Alley, and that again is because of the inclusion of these special assignment cards. But outside of that, in terms of compatibility, the other things to know are you can technically combine Dawn of Technology with Magician powers, but they're very similar, and so it's really strongly recommended in the rulebook that you don't combine them. But you can use the Dawn of Technology with Duel of Magicians if you like. If you want to, you can combine Dawn of Technology with Dalgard's Academy, but that is the most complex and longest version of playing Trickerion, so that's only recommended for experienced players who have played at least one game with each of the expansions separately. But it is supported, so if you want to play with Academy and Dawn of Technology, there's just a couple setup notes to note, and I'll cover that during the setup section. And finally, the Dawn of Technology expansion is fully compatible with the solo mode. So I'll have a short section at the end of the video for notes on the solo mode. So now let's get into the setup. And the first thing you need to do is just take each of the special assignment cards and shuffle it into its respective deck. And if you're playing with the Academy, make sure you use the Academy one as well, otherwise you won't need it. We can go over what these cards do right now. Or I tell you what, I'll put it on screen right now. You can kind of take a look if you want, but I will come back to it and explain it later after we know more about how the expansion works. That makes more sense to me. All right, so I'll set these aside. We'll come back to their function, but shuffle those into each of their respective decks. And then each player gains the contraption board that matches their school of magic. And take that board and place it on the left side of your player board. And you want these 4 slots to line up with these shard spaces. And then each player gains the 4 contraption tokens that, again, go with their board and their school. Just set those in your general supply area somewhere nearby. You don't have access to them yet, but they're there and available for you to build. Again, they are double-sided, so it doesn't really matter which side's up right now, but put these in your supply. And then each player gains 1 additional shard. Now, normally you start with 1 shard, so you will get your second shard here, unless, and this is pretty niche, if you are playing the quick start rules from the Academy rulebook. The Quick Start rules add one additional shard, which so Dawn of Technology's additional shard plus the Quick Start shard means you would start with 3 shards in that case and your first contraption built. That just means place it in this bottommost slot on the larger side. I'm going to call this the face up side. This is face down. Place it face up. Right here on your contraption board. So if you're doing quick start, you get an extra shard and 1 contraption. Otherwise, you don't need to worry about that. And then finally, after each player has chosen their magician, then you find the signature trick that belongs to that magician. So in this case, we've got Living Piano, and that player keeps that beside their player board as well. Now we'll talk more about these signature tricks in a little bit, but as you can see, I guess from the bottom corner there, because there are 12 of them, 4 of them are level 1 tricks, 4 are level 2 tricks, and 4 are level 3 tricks, requiring 1, 16, or 36 fame as normal. And so if you've got one of the players with one of the level 1 tricks, like the Mechaniker, the others would be Luminia the Radiant, the Priestess of Mysticism, or Professor Bernard, you may choose to spend 1 shard, don't forget to spend the shard, to place the signature trick into your workshop, and that is your starting trick instead of a standard starting trick. So again, you can only do that if your signature trick is the level 1 type. And I want to note that if you have the engineer as your starting specialist, you may not place your signature trick here as your bonus trick at the beginning of the game. You can move a signature trick over to here later in the game, but your signature trick cannot be your bonus trick. So if you want to set up your starting trick in your workshop at the beginning of the game, and it's a level 1 trick, you may do so by spending 1 shard. Now let's get into the gameplay. And the first difference is going to be in gaining and spending shards. So we've got this shard icon along the left half of the board here, along the left edge. As you gain shards, you place them on the lowest space, starting at the bottom, and you always store them building upwards. And then as you spend shards, you always spend from the topmost spot working downwards. And so there's iconography here to help you out. As you're placing shards, add them here. As you're spending shards, take them from this side. And so you can see there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 slots, so you can hold 10 shards there. If at any point you should gain a shard and all 10 slots are full, you just store the spare shards off to the side. And then when you spend shards, you start from this pile off to the side. And once all those are spent, then you would start working your way back down again. And so there is a reason for this. We're going to come back to that, but that will be in the end of the turn section. So next up, let's talk about these contraption tokens and how to build them. So these represent technological inventions that enhance your workshop, and each one has 2 states. So this face up side is active, and the face down flipped over side is inactive. And after you've built a contraption, you can flip it from its active side to its inactive side to gain benefits. And there are some exceptions, but unless otherwise stated, if you want to use a contraption for a benefit, you can do that before you place a character in the place characters phase. And I'll go over what all the different benefits are later. But the contraption board always starts empty, and they can be built by taking a new workshop action, which is listed on each of these locations, which is the build contraption action. So in all cases, and I'll show you the other ones here as well, just so you can see, in all cases, across all of these contraption boards, the action cost is always 1 action. And as I said, it is a workshop action. If you happen to be playing with this mini expansion Secret Workshop, you cannot build a contraption from the Secret Workshop because those rules read the normal workshop actions are not available here. Only the new action is available. So you can play with the expansions together, but this build contraption action is only a part of your standard workshop. So contraptions can only be built on the bottom space that's available and then working up. So if I want to build a contraption, I couldn't start with this one. I have to build this one, and then I can build this one next, and then this one next. And so you've got to start at the bottom and work your way up. And just note, again, they have variable costs, even though they're all 1 action point. In this case, this is the cost is 1 coin to build this contraption, 1 coin, 2 coins, and 2 coins. And you'll see that that changes across the different boards. So our costs are, again, all in coins here. 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 5. So when you build a contraption, again, pay the full cost and then place the contraption token on its active side on the bottom most available spot. So whenever you build it, it is always active to start. Now, importantly, when you take this action to build contraptions, the shards play no role. You don't have to have your shards filled up to build a contraption. You can always build one so long as you have the action points and the cost in coins. So if I were to say, send my magician, I'll just move the rest of these. If I were to send my magician character to the workshop with their 3 action points and I happen to have 4 coins, I can spend my 1, 2, 3 action points and 1, 2, 3, 4 coins to build 3 contraptions. And they would all be face up on their active side like so, as long as I'm building from the bottom, and it doesn't matter that I don't have all the Trickerion shards next to this one here. Now, what each contraption does is what's printed here in the left. So again, by default, you can activate a contraption before you place a character in the place characters phase. So if I wanted to activate this one, I could flip it over to its inactive side and then gain 2 coins. And so again, this is irrespective of your Trickerion shards, and these can be done in any order. So maybe before I place a character, I want to flip this one over. Now it's inactive, and now I gain 3 coins as opposed to the 2 on this bottom one. So if we want to go over them all real quickly, the mechanical ones here, level 1 and level 2 are obviously gain 2 coins, gain 2 coins. Level 3 is gain 3 coins, and level 4 is gain 1 fame for every 4 coins you own when you use the contraption, up to a maximum of 6 fame. And very importantly, in this case, these coins are not spent. It's just what you have in your supply. So let's go over the rest of them now. Here are the spiritual contraption bonuses, and they're all very different from each other. So this bottom one at level 1, when you place a character at the market row and take the buy action, you can use this contraption to reduce the total amount of coins you spend by 3 down to a minimum of 1 coin spent. You can't go 0 or negative coins spent. So that's pretty typical. This one is very interesting at level 2. Before you place a character, you can flip that contraption over to switch the assignment cards, whether they're permanent assignment cards or special assignment cards, between 2 of your characters, or return a placed assignment card to your hand and replace it with a new one. But importantly, when you do that, you cannot move assignment cards away from slots where the character has already been placed. It's got to be between slots where you still have characters. The level 3 one, when you send a character to the downtown before you take an action, you can flip that contraption over and set any of the downtown dice to a face of your choice. And finally, the level 4 version here. This one can only be used in the performance phase immediately after your own performance. So when you use this one, you double the bonus on the performance card that you performed. So that's cool. Next up, let's look at the escape school. And just a note, you may only flip one of these each time you place a character. So this bottom one, when you flip it over, you gain 1 additional action point if you send your character to market row or to the workshop. Level 2 is 1 additional action point if you send your character to really anywhere but the theater. So market row or the workshop, downtown, dark alley, or the academy. Level 3 is 1 extra action point anywhere, including the theater, as is level 4. That is the same. So those bonuses are pretty straightforward. And finally, let's take a look at the optical school. This school is a little different. You can only use these contraptions before taking the prepare trick action. So levels 1 and 2 say that when you flip that contraption over, you can lower the trick's component requirement by 1 basic or advanced component of your choice. So I'll say that again. 1 trick's component requirement is lowered by 1 basic component or 1 advanced component of your choice. So you need fewer stuff in order to prepare the trick. And level 3 works the same way, but it can be a basic component, an advanced component, or a superior component. And level 4 looks similar, but at close inspection, you can see that you lowered the trick's component requirement by up to 2 basic, advanced, or superior components of your choice. Now, a couple other notes to know about the optical school's contraptions. You may use multiple contraptions to prepare the same trick if that's something you want to do. And you may also use the contraptions if you have enough components to prepare the trick without them. So basically, you can use the contraption even if you don't need it. And the reason you might want to do that is so that you can receive the reactivation bonus when it flips back over in the end phase. So that can be very handy. And so now let's talk about how we flip these things back over. So we need to talk about the end of turn phase. So the Dawn of Technology expansion adds a new subphase to the very end of the end turn phase called Reactivate Contraptions. So during this phase, all inactive contraptions with a shard on all shard symbols next to their slot are flipped back to their active side. So in this case, this one would be flipped active, but this one does not have enough shards next to it, so it would remain inactive. So that means you wouldn't be able to use that contraption for its bonus the next round. Now on top of that, you'll see the level 3 and 4 contraptions have this little extra bonus on the bottom. When you are flipping it back to its active side, in this case, gain 1 fame. So if we take the other ones back out here for a moment, we can look at that now. When flipping these back to their active side, you can see on this spiritual contraption board, this one gives you a fame when you make it active. This one gives you 2 fame. On the escape board, this top one gives you 2 fame when it becomes active. And on the optical board, 1 fame for each level 3 and for level 4 when those flip to active. Now, I do want to point out you only get that bonus when the contraption is flipped to active. If I were to be in this situation here, and let's say I took an action to build this contraption and then I did not use it, and then we get to the end turn phase, well, there's enough shards here that it could be flipped, but it's already active, so it has not flipped, so I would not gain that fame in that scenario. It's only the act of flipping to the active side that gives you the fame. So now that we know how contraptions work, let's go back to these special assignment cards and take a look at what they do. So the downtown and the workshop are the same. The bonus in either case says you may also reactivate one of your inactive contraptions, including gaining its fame bonus, if any, even if you do not have enough shards. So I think you know enough at this point to see how that could be very useful. That's really cool. And then if you have the Market Row special assignment card, this is Energized Delivery. You may use one of your contraptions, meaning flip it to its inactive side, to immediately receive up to 2 components available in the order area. And if you do this, the contraption's usual effect, so whatever the bonus is here on the left, does not apply. So you forfeit its normal effect to gain 2 components. The Theater special assignment card is Mechanized Interludes, which says you receive 1 fame and 1 coin for each of your contraptions. So that's pretty nice. And if you're playing with the Academy special assignment card says you may also take 1 build contraption action without spending any action points or coins. So that's pretty cool. And then as normal, on the bottom right hand corner, any of these effects can be forfeited to gain 1 additional action point at their associated location. So that's the bulk of contraptions and shards and what we need to know about it. So I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way and talk about the other half of the Dawn of Technology expansion, which is the signature tricks. So as we've already learned, there are 12 signature tricks, 3 for each school and 1 of each trick level, and then each one is associated with a specific magician. So at the start of the game, you start with it next to your player board, and if it happens to be a level 1 trick, you do have the option to make it your starting trick, but you don't have to. And you'll also notice on the back, each one is a counterpart to an existing trick in the game, so that's going to be relevant. So the one that we were looking at the beginning, this was Steam Organ, is the counterpart to Living Piano, so that will be relevant in a moment. Why don't I put both decks out here right now, and you can at least see the top one for comparison. And so in general, all of the signature tricks, this is, I guess, not in general, all of the signature tricks will have the exact same component requirements as their original basic version. So you can see for Steam Organ compared to Living Piano, both need 1 animal, 1 glass, and 1 wood. But in general, the yields are going to be better on the signature tricks. So Living Piano normally gives you 1 fame and 1 coin, whereas Steam Organ gives you 1 coin and 1 shard. But you can see you can set up Steam Organ with 0 action points, so that's really handy. They both can hold 3 trick markers, and the signature tricks have some sort of special ability that the basic tricks don't. So I'll detail those in a minute, but let's talk about how to learn your signature trick. So let's just assume for the moment that you took your signature trick and you set it aside during setup. Either it wasn't a level 1 trick, or if it was, you chose not to set it up. And there's a reason you might choose not to set it up. I'll get into that as well. But then when you go to the downtown and you take the learn trick action, you may choose to learn your own signature trick. So as usual, you've got to meet the fame threshold, or if you don't meet the fame threshold, you've got to pay the difference in coins in order to learn it. And then once you learn it, you've got to find its counterpart in the game. And depending on where it is, that'll change what you do. So if it's in one of the decks where it's just available to be learned by anyone, so let's say nobody's learned Living Piano, then when you when you learn Steam Organ, you take Living Piano and you remove it from the game. It's just gone. It returns to the box. If someone else has learned Living Piano already and it's in their workshop, do nothing. They just get to hold on to it. Nothing changes. You've got Steam Organ, they've got Living Piano. They don't interact. That's fine. Or the counterpart might be in your own workshop. And if that's the case, then remove it from the game and replace it with your own or with your signature trick, and any trick marker and any setup tricks that were on it transfer over so you still hold those. And if there are any matching trick markers in the theater, like on a performance card, those markers now represent the signature version of the trick. So that's a nice little upgrade. Now, preparing your signature tricks is going to be the same as preparing a standard trick with one important difference. In order to prepare a signature trick, if it's a level 1, 2, or 3 trick, you must have 1, 2, or 3 built contraptions in order to set up the trick. So if you have a level 1 signature trick and it's the start of the game and you want to make that your starting trick, you never start the game with any built contraptions, and so you will never be able to start with a setup trick, even if you were to meet the other component requirements. But if you have the standard version of the trick, say I've got this and I've got it set up with a couple trick markers on it, maybe one in the theater, if I then learn Steam Organ, I transfer this stuff over to here, even if I don't have this contraption. So that's a way for me to start getting performances on this new signature trick, even if I don't have the contraption yet. Now, a couple of clarifications. If you want to set up your signature trick, this is the number of contraptions you need to have. They do not need to be active. They can be inactive. It's okay. And when they're active, you do not need to spend them. You're not flipping them over. You just need to have contraptions anywhere on this board. You just have to have that many slots filled with contraptions. And so now let's take a minute to go through each of these schools' signature tricks and compare them to the basic version. So we'll start with the mechanical school here and their associated standard versions of tricks. And you can take a look at the different yields and setup costs and that sort of thing. But you can see there's these special bonuses here. So on this level 1 trick, Steam Organ, the special bonus is called Encore. You may have up to 2 of this trick's markers on one of the performance cards. That's what that's indicating there. And then Rise of the Phoenix, which replaces Vanishing Birdcage, has this bonus, which is called Resident Trick. And it says, if this trick is part of your own performance, do not remove it from the performance card after the performance phase. So it will stay on the card. So it might get performed again. That's really cool. And then we have on Mecha Walker, which is the upgrade to Automaton, the signature version of Automaton. This is the wild card bonus. So all the level 3 cards have a wild card bonus. And so this says, during the end game scoring, you may choose and score the scoring condition of any level 3 trick in the same category as this trick, unless the trick you would choose is also in your workshop. So this is a mechanical trick, so I could look at all of the level 3 mechanical tricks as long as they're not in my own workshop, and I can gain that scoring condition for this card. And I double check this, that does include the card that had been returned to the box previously. So if Automaton had been in play, and then I got my signature trick, Mecha Walker, Automaton goes back to the box, but I can still choose that scoring condition for this card at the end of the game. So you'll see that that effect is the same across all the different schools of magic. So let's take a look at the spiritual school next. So we're replacing the tricks Window to the Other World, Ghost Trap, and Balsamo Skull with Mirror of Souls, Afterlife Romance, and Raging Spirit, respectively. So again, here on Mirror of Souls, we see that resident trick effect. On Afterlife Romance, we see again the Encore effect, and then the wild card bonus on Raging Spirit. So we can set these aside. And next up, we'll look at the Escape School. So we're going to be replacing Water Tank Escape, Zigzag Lady, and Buried Alive with the legendary Shark Tank, the Sunken Strongbox, and Living Shadows. Okay, so these bonuses are a little bit different. Oops, I swapped those, huh? That makes more sense. Okay, so we've got some different bonuses here. The legendary Shark Tank, this bonus is called Free Orientation. And it says, when you place this trick's marker on a performance card, the corner corresponding to the trick's category does not have to be in a link circle. So in other words, this trick marker can be oriented freely, usually to create a link that would not be possible otherwise. That's really handy. And Living Shadows has this new bonus, which is Easy Setup. When you take the Setup Trick action for the theater, for 1 action point, you can place up to 2 of this trick's markers on the performance cards. So that's really cool. And then the Sunken Strongbox, again, has the wildcard bonus for the escape type tricks. So I'll put these aside, and we've got 1 school left, and that is going to be the Optical School. So we're replacing Enchanted Butterflies, Paper Shred, and Mutilation. And the signature tricks are Fairy Dance, Living Portrait, and Space Warping. I will note that Enchanted Butterflies is the only trick that is replaced that has only a single component as its requirement. And so the trick bonuses again will be Easy Setup for Fairy Dance, Free Orientation for Living Portrait, and the wildcard bonus for Space Warping. So that is all of the specialty tricks. Hopefully that gives you some idea of what's going on. And so now let's talk about the end of the game. There's a small change to the way you score, and it involves your Trickerion stones. So we'll throw a couple of these up here. Not that it matters where they are. So the one change to the scoring is instead of gaining at the end of the game 1 fame per leftover shard, you're going to gain 2 fame for every 3 leftover shards, rounded up. And your shards that are on these symbols on your board do count. So that covers everything in the expansion minus the solo mode. So let me take a quick moment to talk about the solo mode now. And this one is pretty solo friendly. There's not too much to do. So the heir never builds contraptions and doesn't acquire a signature trick. So you don't have to deal with any of that. But as a result, if you play with Dawn of Technology, it might make the solo mode a little bit easier. And then during the setup, give the opponent 1 shard more than you normally would. And during endgame scoring, as I just explained, you score 2 fame for every 3 shards as usual, but now the heir will score 1 fame for each of its shards. So really they're just following the normal rules, which is really to say the heir's shards are worth more than your shards. And then there is one optional rule if you want to make it a little bit harder, which is at the end of each round, the heir gains 1 fame for each contraption you did not reactivate and 1 coin for each empty contraption slot you have. And if you have all of your contraption slots filled and they're all reactivated, then they get 1 shard. So you can give that a try if that's something you want to do. But if you'd like to see it in action, I will do a solo playthrough of Trickerion using Dawn of Technology as well as the Secret Workshop. That'll be coming out in a couple days. So again, make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss it. And then don't forget that the best way to support the channel is through my Ko-fi page, ko-fi, like all of these fine folks here on the screen. So on Ko-fi, you can make a contribution to the channel for as little as $1. You can do that one time or make it recurring monthly. So reserved seating is for all my monthly contributors, and the Head of the Table Award is for my top 10 contributors over the last 90 days. I would love to see your name on both of those lists. But I hope you found this helpful, and I'm looking forward to playing Trickerion with Dawn of Technology on the channel soon. If you have any questions or if you think I've made any mistakes, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching Table for One, and I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.